This video essay will explore whether or not there is less of the male gaze in independent cinema. Laura Mulvey, who analysed the objectification of women in film using a psychoanalytic approach, coined the term male gaze in 1975. Mulvey states, the gender power asymmetry is a controlling force in cinema and constructed for the pleasure of the male viewer, which is deeply rooted in patriarchal ideologies and discourses. Meaning, the film tends to be made for the audience to view the character from the perspective of a heterosexual male. In order to determine this, we have to look at the difference in representation of women in both independent and mainstream cinema. Mulvey's theory is just as prevalent today as it was in 1975. Mulvey's texts include the theory that women are the bearer of meaning and not the marker. This means that women are placed in films as objects and are not placed in order to control the scene. Independent cinema is a place where more and more women are becoming central focus and are not just viewed from the perspective of a man. An example of this would be Frances Ha, directed by Noah Baumbach. In this film, Frances is a young 20-something living in New York as she goes from apartment to apartment, throwing herself into her dreams even as they seem to become more and more impossible.
You'll be this awesome publishing mogul.
And you'll be this famous modern dancer.
The film, inspired by the likes of Jean-Luc Godard and Woody Allen, is an excellent portrayal of women and does not set any high expectations for women that we often see in mainstream cinema today. This is also not a movie where the lead female character overcomes or achieves something significant. Frances Ha is an example of a film where there is no evidence of the male gaze. Frances, the lead character, is not used as an object or marker and is not depicted as a passive character. What we see in this movie is the lead character being depicted in an honest and real fashion. Independent cinema has always been a place for filmmakers to express something not seen in mainstream cinema. In Jeff King's book, American Independent Cinema, he states that films designated as independent operate at a distance from mainstream in 1. Their industrial location, 2. The kinds of formal aesthetic strategies they adopt, and 3. Their relationship to the broader social, cultural, political, or ideological landscape. This means that independent films are a platform to cover more controversial topics not seen in mainstream cinema. It allows filmmakers to have a less manipulated approach to creating a film covering a range of topics from sexuality, mental health, drug use, and much more. This calls to question whether or not independent films enable movies featuring women to be less manipulated by the male gaze. Mulvey also states, in a world ordered by sexual imbalance, pleasure in looking has been split between active male and passive female.
Hi, I'm Spike Lee, but I'm not directing. I do this. It pays the rent, puts food on the table, butter on my whole wheat bread. Anyway, I had this new comedy coming out. It's a very funny film. She's Gotta Have It. Check this out.
Spike Lee's film, She's Gotta Have It, is about an independent woman, Nola Darling, living on her own in New York, unable to decide what man she wants to date, so she decides to date 3 men at the same time. These 3 men are all very different, one a rich, handsome narcissist, one a stable but overprotective romantic, and another, played by Spike Lee himself, a lovable but immature goof. What's great about this film is the juxtaposition of character. We're used to seeing a man in the central role dating multiple people at the same time, unable to decide who to date. However, we have Nola, who is so nonchalant about the whole thing compared to the men. In the Pocket Essentials film book Spike Lee by Darren Arnold, he states, "She's Gotta Have It" neatly inverts the familiar scenario of a male who keeps several girlfriends, on the go at once. One could even say that the roles in this film are flipped and there is in fact a female gaze instead of a male gaze. The male characters are placed as markers and Nola is the bearer of meaning. She is the active female and the three men are passive as she calls the shots, even if the men think they do.
Jamie, you're okay. I've been thinking. I'm gonna hook you up. With Nola, you get 4 days, I'll get 3.
It's mighty black of you.
But I get the weekends, though.
To conclude, independent film is used as a platform to create something different than what is seen in mainstream cinema. Mainstream cinema, even to this day, is rife with examples of the male gaze. Independent films such as Frances Ha and She's Gotta Have It are noble examples of movies that have no evidence of Mulvey's male gaze, despite the fact being made by male directors. So perhaps this shows things are progressing, at least in independent cinema.